country and you absolutely have to, if it beats dehydration and you know you're going to be out in a couple of weeks or so, yeah, it's better than they'll fix you when you get your hospital. But if it's going to be a long-term thing, then you need to take the extra time and purify your water. Okay? All right. So we got this. Now, before we get going too far, we're going to put some of our secret powder in there. Who wants to put the secret powder in there? All right. We're going to put that in there, and while we're talking, by the end of the class, see if that helps that out. All right. Now, I'm going to hold this right there and pour it right in there. He's done a fine job. There you go. Good job. All right. Take it up a little bit, see if that helps it. All right. So we're going to let that sit and see where you think we should put some more in or leave it like that?
Put a little bit more in.
All right. Can you do that?
Yeah.
All right.
A spoonful.
Spoon. Wow. All right. There you go. What we're putting in is alum. Alum has been used for centuries to help settle water. And now for our demonstration purposes, we're not counting on how much we've got in there, but if you put too much in, it can actually make you sick, get you nauseous, stuff like that. So you kind of want to measure it. One guidelines that they generally put out as far as stuff like that is like start out with I think it's 10 milligrams per liter of water. You can adjust it depending on how turbid the water is with the particles. But as with anything, research on your own. So we'll do that and let that sit. So this is alum. Bought that at the local grocery store up here. I had a hard time finding it, believe it or not. Finally found some in the mechanic section. Like anything in wilderness kit that you want to try to have at least 2 uses out of, or 3 if you can get as many as you can get. Alum, you can get that. You can use it to help settle your particles. It's great for tanning hides. You can use it for that. Use it for all kind of other stuff too. This is the first stage. We had our dirty water, so we're trying to get the particles to settle, and then the particles to settle, and we'll pour it off and transfer it to another container if we can. The best way to purify the water when you get to that stage is boiling. So you're out there and you broke down, and for some reason you don't have means to build a fire or whatever. What's that?
No pots or pans.
No pots or pans, which you can improvise stuff, but let's say that you don't know how to do those things. And you're just trying to get water fast you can, so you can't boil it. But now if you can boil it, that's the safest. CDC recommends that you boil it for at least 1 minute, and then if you go to a higher elevation, they want you to increase the boiling time. Once you boil the water, it's going to have like a flat taste. One way you can improve that taste is by reoxygenating. If you've got 2 containers, you can move them back and forth. Got to add a little bit of oxygen to the water, make it taste a little better. Most of the things you're trying to get out of the water, the protozoas, like cryptosporidium, Giardia, the big main ones. You got the bacteria, salmonellas, E. coli's, and then you got your virus. Different ones, if you'll notice on the chart, it'll have it listed what it's effective for. So if you'll follow it there, it says boiling. Boiling's good for everything. And then as you get on over, you hit the filtration, which is got water filters here. Bring that out, and most filtration will get it 99.9% in the commercial available ones will get it down to that. Like these, some of them have silver in it to give it extra antimicrobial properties. There's different kind of filters, and each one does it a different way. There's like pump filters, gravity filters, and things like that. But most of them claim to get it about the same level of effectiveness. They won't work on viruses. Although Sawyer produces one now, they say will work on viruses. I've not tried it. This is not one of those. But if you notice on that sheet there, it's not, as far as filter wise, it's not. So, move over. You have iodine or chlorine, won't work against the cryptosporidium. So, iodine's good for most stuff, but not all. Temperature will affect how effective something is too. Chlorine dioxide, 1 to 2 as far as effectiveness, but and then you go on down the Giardia, same. Bacteria, they're a little bit more effective. They run about the same. And then viruses, same. They're giving it 3s. But if you look over to the right, most of them, when you're using a combination of filtration like this with a disinfectant, then they're giving them 4s. They're saying that at the top, like there on that chart, if you cannot boil, then filtration plus something else like chlorine, iodine, whatever, is going to be your best. Our water is not quite ready yet, but it is starting to clear up. So we'll go over filters first, different kinds, because most of us have some sort of backpacking filter. This is a MSR, it's a pump filter, it's ceramic. You drop that in the water, and you just pump, and then it's got this one has a little attachment. You open that up, and that one has a little attachment at the bottom that fits over hiking bottles, things like that. You put a tube on there and run it to whatever you're going to run it to. They're pretty common. Most pump filters work about the same. They might do it pump from the side or pump from the top. They're generally trying to do the same thing as far as the operation goes. And like I said, the commercial ones usually about 99.9% effective. There's a gravity filter, which they're doing the same thing, except you hang it up in a tree or on a limb or something like that. You fill your water up, you hang it, and then it comes down and you turn the little nozzle. MSR puts one out and feeds right there. So if you've got a lot of people that you're trying to get water for a camp, and you don't want to be the man sitting there pumping that the whole time, let's say, I don't know, you got 10, 20 people, you're going to spend all day pumping water, and you can get you hang that up, you're good to go. Whether you're doing that or doing one of these, if you're trying to get some of the extra particles out, if you want to pre-filter before you put it in, you can wrap a bit of a handkerchief or pantyhose, anything along there, kind of filter the big particles out so they won't clog it up. It's easy.
Bring your pantyhose and stuff.
That's right. Let's see. We got squeeze filters. This particular one's a Sawyer. They're pretty inexpensive. And there's different brands. Sawyer's is pretty good because they're universal, so you can take this, but you don't have to use their bag. So this particular one, if you're not familiar with them, pop it up. You squeeze your water. Yeah, that's just filtering, and again, they claim that they can get almost all of it out. Which, for the most part, if you're not in a place where you really suspect bad water, I mean, if you're drinking out of a beaver pond, then by the time you filter it, yeah, you might want to do something else with it. If you know that you're drinking from a pretty relatively safe source anyway, a good spring that's coming right out of the ground, seep spring, then usually this will be fine. It doesn't have to use their bag. It's universal. Buy this Smart Water not necessarily because I like Smart Water. I just like the bottle. I'm buying it for the bottle and drinking the water to have the bottle. You'll see a lot of hikers with that. The reason why is that screws right on there. It's a good size, and instead of having their little bags, they can dirty up. They can put that in reserve. They can take that and fill it up. And that squeezes right out. It's soft enough, and yet it's tough enough. It's minimal stuff. So you're spending $1.50 on a plastic bottle and getting some water.
Yeah.
So you have the squeeze filters. There's something else on the market. They call it a SteriPen. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it, and it purifies water by ultraviolet light. It relies on batteries. I've actually drank water that somebody purified with one of them, but the water that I drank, it came from a very good spring, and I've known people to drink that water without purifying it, with no ill effects. So it was probably really good water to begin with. So I can't attest to whether they're good or not. I think there are certain military groups use them, and the travelers going to other countries when they don't have anything else, they'll take one of those just for that. But if you're in the backcountry, what you got to think about is, do you want that to be your only source? Because you have batteries you rely on. They got solar chargers and things now, but still, you don't want your whole water filtration purification rely on electricity in the backcountry. Okay, so those are those. If you do not have a filter, you can get the majority. This is not like the commercial filters that are going to get a lot of this stuff out. This is one that will get the majority of stuff, and you're still going to have to boil or do something else. But if you're to this stage, then you're probably just down to boiling. But you can make one. Has anybody ever made one of these, fooled with one? This is not the best example in the world. It is the most field expedient you can come up with. Last course. And what you have is a bottle, or you use sock, something like that. You got a layer of sand at the end. In the middle, there's charcoal, activated charcoal that you can buy. Again, going back to two uses. Activated charcoal is good for water filtration, also good for your suspected poison. You can take that, it absorbs poison. The reason why they use it medically is because it will absorb toxins. Same thing like using filtration. Except this is not activated. This is regular charcoal that we've made from just camp wood. And we're taking wood and getting it burned and then dropping the box with some charcoal. And using that, powdering it up and putting it in for a filter. So it will work, but it's not going to work near as well as if you had actual activated charcoal, which is, there's a whole process to that, which is beyond the scope of this program.
Ingestible?
Hmm?
The tablet?
Yeah, well, it makes you throw up sometimes too, and get rid of toxins, but it absorbs the toxins. So, then on the top part, you got a coarse layer of some kind. This is particular glass, what we had. Just what we had available. It's just whatever you got available. Cattails are around most water sources out there, and standing water sources. You could have just anything to layer your stuff up, and you can have more grass on top of it to hold it down. Moss works really, really well. If you can get a hold of sphagnum moss, it's got antibacterial type properties too. The British, when they ran short on bandages back in World War II, would actually use it.
What was it called?
Sphagnum moss. It's like a peat moss when you can find it. It would be your top choice for this up here, because the water coming through there, it's going to get a little bit of natural disinfectant right off the bat, not just grabbing onto that. But anyway, down the bottom again, if you got some sort of pantyhose or something like that, or a piece of handkerchief, hold that sand back. You can poke a hole in there, run a tube. You can run another bottle underneath here. There's so many ways to do these. It's just the where you rig them up. You have something you want to show, sir?
Sure. There's your little straw.
That's the Frontier one. emergency filter. You find that works pretty well for you?
I haven't used it yet. I carry it as a backup
Backup.
because my other one has broken occasionally
Right.
from
And
rough usage.
now, what this gentleman just said, he said it carries a backup for you younger folks that might not be as familiar in the woods, in the military, anywhere you're at. There's a thing that says, if I have 2 of something, then that means I have 1 of something. 2 is 1, 1 is none.
But then you also have to worry about weight.
Yep.
You can only take so many 2 of something.
That's where you try to get your kit to where you get one thing that can do the most things it could possibly do. In a plastic trash bag, heavy duty, just think of the many uses you can do with that. It's worth the weight. If you're carrying a dumbbell, then, well, not useless, but really, you know, you're going to get limited use out of it for the weight yet. Thank you, sir.
Throw it over a tree.
All right. What's that?
It could be helpful for throwing something over.
All right. It could. So,
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
so let's say that
Yeah.
we're
Bear attack. Good idea.
that we don't have our normal filters and we're running this through here, and we get some of that out. Notice how much our water's cleared up. You young men did a fine job of dirtying that water up. And Colt, I'm sorry, not Colt, Beretta, you did a fine job of clearing that up. I don't think I could have put that in there like you did. I said, no, we need more money. I said, you're not doing it right, Ranger. You want to let that settle more, or you want to try to filter that out?
Settle.
Settle? All right. Brad said,
Okay.
okay. Let it settle a little more. So, let's say we had run it all the way through. Then you're looking at either finishing up boiling it after you got most of the particles out, or using iodine, chlorine, something like that. Now, that being said, if you didn't have anything, and this is all you had, something's better than nothing. And you can just keep running them through. In British countries, like England, Australia, places like that, anywhere the British Army was prevalent, they came out with something called a millbank bag. Outside of British style countries, you don't really hear about it that much. It's basically just a canvas bag, and it's the way that it's sloped down, it filters the water out. You can make one if you've got your own canvas and some grommets. You can buy one, but you have to generally get it from overseas, shipped over. I'm not familiar with anybody that sells them in the States right now. But you've got some grommets and some canvas. You can make one out of some blue jeans, and then any kind of addition that you could have, whether it be charcoal, something like that, would just help it even further. Make one out of a sock. It's just a variation of what they call millbank bag. But that's where you're using the big giant ones if you're doing a lot of groups. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention in there too is in this filter was the gravel. I forgot to tell you all that. There's gravel in there as well. Well, this sand actually, because you think maybe out here it's hard to find sand, this is not ocean sand. There's a lot of sandstone up here, and when it gets broken down, it'll give you a pretty decent sand for this. It's going to be a little on the muddy side sometimes, because it gets a little dirt mixed in with it, but it'll work. The better, finer your sand, the cleaner your sand, obviously the better it's going to work. But when I put that in there, I started to get some from down by the river and the beaches, but I wanted to try this one with just what was available around here. Moving on, after you've got your filter, then you're looking at the purifying. If you don't want to boil it the safest way, they have these purification tablets. That's iodine, and iodine's going to give it a bad taste. You may like iodine.
Okay.
That's one of the drawbacks. Another one of the drawbacks to iodine is that if you're allergic to iodine, allergic to shellfish, then you can't use it.
No.
You don't want to be doing the fish dance.
Yeah.
You know what fish dance is? Ever seen fish dance?
Season?
Huh?
Like season?
Yeah, when you get a fish out of the water, when you catch a fish and it's flopping around, that's the fish dance. You don't want to be doing the fish
No.
dance.
Don't sound like I want to do that.
So if you're allergic to iodine, don't use this. You'll need to use something else. All right? And then you got to let it sit, and again, according to our charts, we know at the beginning, it's only effective for so much, and temperature affects it for the water. So they give you a little extra thing in here if you can use iodine, and it's called pH Plus in this particular pack, and it neutralizes the taste of the iodine. However, if you put that in first, then your iodine's not going to be effective, and you start over. You need to wait till the iodine has done its job before you do that. If you don't have these and you just got regular iodine tablets, or you're going to be using tea tree iodine, which I'll go over in a minute, then if you use vitamin C, like Tang, vitamin C will do the same thing. Yep. So
Probably tastes better.
and give you some vitamin C. But like I said, don't add any of that until after the iodine has done its job. Store or sporting goods store available to you. This is tincture of iodine. They used that for years. This goes again back to the multiple uses of what you've got in your kit. Tincture of iodine, this is first aid antiseptic. That's what they sell it as. That's what it's for. It's good for all kinds of stuff. For our purposes, we use antiseptic. Something gets cut. Or we can use it to purify water within the parameters of iodine. Most of the time they'll tell you 6 to 8 drops for a quart of water. Research that again just to double check. 'Cause there's different variances on that.
So that's just regular iodine?
It's a no. Let me clarify that, because there's different strengths of iodine. This is 2%. Tincture of iodine, 2%. They have one, I believe it's either a 7 or maybe even greater, and
Okay.
you don't want that one.
You only use the 2%?
2%. Just the weaker one is enough for us, because we don't want it too strong. You want to make sure it's the tincture and not the betadine or other ones like that, because I can't tell you whether or not they can be used for it. On this one is what they've traditionally used over the years, and it's a little bit harder to find. Some grocery stores carry a little bottle like that will run you about $5. If you carry it in your kit and it does 2 or 3 things, buy it once. Some of the drawbacks like these expire eventually. Most of this stuff has got a good strong shelf life. So Reese supplemented iodine crystals. They're marketed now as Polar Pure is a brand name of them, and you just use a little bit. You basically saturate them as a solution, and then put it in use it like a concentrate to purify a larger amount of water. They got taken off the market a few years ago due to some regulation. I think that they adjusted their formula to where they can sell it, and are back on the market now. But that advantage of those is they don't really expire, and they just use them until the crystals are gone. I think they run about $15–20 what they used to run. As far as other tabs go, they've got the chlorine tabs that they have, and you just follow manufacturer's instructions. Again, going off the chart there, this is chlorine dioxide. Aquamira is usually the brand name that puts them out. There may be some more. Success finding water. Usually, if you go to a draw, like gorge, you know what a draw is? Kind of. Okay.
I don't.
If you're in the mountains and things like that, if you're standing and you're looking up in one direction, looking up in another direction, looking up in another direction, looking down in the 4th direction, you're in a draw. Up in 3, down in 1.
Okay.
That's a draw. So if you look at it like your hand, see right there? Like if this was like up here on top and level, this would be a draw coming down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So draws, because that's where the water drains at. If you look on the map, you're going to find water. So if you can't find it at the base, which here we have a lot of sinks, so the water can go in the ground and back up, but you generally find something. Something will seep out. You find a soft spot in the ground. Out here, it's a natural area, so we can't dig. But if you were in an area where you had to, like a survival situation, you find a good soft spot and dig. And then there's ways of getting your water clear there. They call them Indian wells, gypsy wells. There's different names for them to dig down, but that's another program we'll have to get into. But it's pretty interesting the way that you can dig down and get water from one spot to another. That'll come in, go down poke holes. If you're interested in that, I'll talk to you about it. Another program. Vegetation is non-toxic. You take some kind of piece of clothing and put it on your legs as you're walking through a field in the morning dew. Get it. You don't have any moisture in the morning, more moisture in the evening, night when everything settles down. So that's good. You collect it there. It's good. Rainwater is good. You get water from plants. The proverbial putting a plastic bag on the trees. It'll work. It's not very efficient, and it's going to taste like whatever tree you put in. So make sure you do something non-toxic. All the ones I've ever tried, it has worked, but it's like I said,
160 degrees.
you're not going to get a whole lot out of it. And it's better than nothing. If that's all you got.
Is rainwater supposed to be really safe to drink?
It is. It comes right down there. I would drink rainwater if you catch it in a cup, whatever. If you save your, I have been out before. Run low on water in between one spot and the other, and a big rainstorm come up, and I put my stuff underneath the poncho that I had draped across the trees and let it drain right into those containers, every container I had left, and got enough to get through breakfast until I could get to the next spot and pump water.
That's exactly what we did at Stone Door.
Yeah.
It happened to rain that night, and we put it at the edge of the tent leaf, and it
That's right.
filled up our water bottles again.
That's why if you're out
breakfast.
in the ocean, all the water around you is salty, but you can catch it in a raft. I never had to do that.
That's why I don't go in the ocean.
But, the water from the sky is safe to drink. Sky water, that's awesome. All right, we ready to try to pour this through? You want to try that?
What do you think, Greta? No?
I think it looks about like
No, it still doesn't look clear enough.
Well,
it won't be all the
Yeah,
way.
you can
It
only
might be
get
as
for so
clear as you
far,
can
but,
get it.
So we'll try to transfer that to another bottle. I want to try a volunteer pour? No?
Me.
All
no,
right.
we got
Huh?
an eager volunteer over there.
We're going to carefully just pour that in there. Just carefully. Can you hold it for you? You get a little bit of stuff in there. That's fine. We're going to filter it out here. Go ahead and pour it in. Don't worry about those big floaties on the top. Yes, good job. That's from the bigger stuff that's on top. Try this one.
Bring your pantyhose.
Well, I had it on there.
And now we know how to filter and purify water. Thanks to South Cumberland State Park and Ranger Holland for putting on this presentation. And thank you for watching.